Perspective. What's going on, everyone? I am Lukun Kamlenga right here at Z now, and today have a rare privilege of having Luyando on my podcast, This Perspective. We're going to be talking about a subject which most people would rather shun away from, but Luyando actually reached out to me to discuss the topic we're about to get into. So, give me all your ears because this is going to be very, very important. Luyando, welcome to the program. How are you doing?
I'm doing very great. I'm fine, feeling fantastic, and I'm humbled. I don't know how are you doing that side.
Oh, I'm doing great. I appreciate it. Like I said earlier on, I just woke up, so we're getting one thing knocked out. I like to start off the day achieving, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. You woke me up out of the sleep into having conversation. I feel like a
Oh,
superhero or something.
that's very nice,
So yeah, just a little bit about you, Leandro. You are from Zambia.
Yes,
You know what? I have
Zambia.
to state that because we have people from pretty much all over the world who watch on Z now. So just for better context, I just want people to know.
Okay, so this is Luyando Sikanwe, called Lulu, and I'm from Zambia. Zambia, aged 28. Living HIV positive for good 17 years now, and I'm also an HIV activist and an HIV counselor, founder of Lulu HIV Foundation, which is yet to grow, and we are still working on it. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for uh, getting ahead of me and giving that introduction. No, for
Straight to the
so
point.
yeah, straight to the point. So now let's start right from the beginning. You are someone who is living with HIV, but the purpose of this conversation is the stigma that comes with people with HIV, the way that they
Yeah,
are viewed in society.
yeah,
And today, this is 2025. I remember school, counselors coming in schools whenever we were in primary school. I mean, that's back in the day. I'm 34. They would
yeah.
come trying to pretty much sensitize people all the way through high school. They still send counselors to come through, teaching people about the stigma of HIV and how we need to embrace people living with HIV. 2025, we still going through that? I mean, is it that bad?
From the time looking at the years back and
Hmm.
now, those odd years ago, we never had much information about HIV. But when it comes to this time now, the
Hmm.
generation that we are into now, we have full update and full information about HIV. So, whenever, and 99% of people are on media, different kind of media, Facebook, TikTok. You log in on Facebook, you find information there. You go on TikTok, you find activists advocating there. You go on Google, you find the information compared to years back when
Hmm.
we just the time I was tested HIV positive. In that time, we had less information, but
Sure.
this time around, the information is wider. So, when it comes to stigma, like you have said about stigma, those days, even
Hmm.
up to now, stigma is still there. And now it's even more bigger because, we even happen to stigmatize ourselves. The stigmatization that comes from one on your own, it's very big and it's very huge because at a time when the society, the community, they don't even know anything, they don't even have an idea. For you, you're going to stigmatize yourself thinking as if the society knows anything without realizing to say it's you to give them an update and it's you to give them the chance of coming to think about something that they shouldn't think about. you know.
Mm.
Yeah, we have stigmatization from people in communities, but looking at these days, because 99% of people are on
Yeah.
HIV. Yeah, but they are HIV positive. So I think, for me, I always say the generation that we are now, it's the fear and bad endurance. This is the only thing that is high, because if we had good endurance, it also reduces. The HIV reduces in Zambia and other parts of Africa and maybe other parts of the countries. Yeah.
Got you. So we'll get back to like everything else, but I would like to walk back to the early stages of your life. So you've been living with HIV for 17 years now. So walk me through how it was whenever you found out, whenever you got diagnosed with HIV. You know, what was that moment like for you?
I remember the time I was found with HIV positive. For me, I was first diagnosed with TB. Yeah,
Mm.
I remember I used to cough and non-stop cough. And you know how coughing is. Whenever you reach in front of people, maybe you are somewhere, that's when you start coughing. And
Yeah,
all eyes on you, and that moment is so uncomfortable.
sure.
You know how coughing is when you start coughing
Yeah.
non-stop frequently. So for me, I remember uh how coughing it was for me. It was so bad, it wasn't even good, it was so very bad. I was so very down, because the moment I was being taken to the hospital, they were like surprised, asking to say, are you alive?
Mm.
Because my lungs were very damaged. You go into the X-ray room, they do whatever they have to do there. Then the moment you come out from the X-ray room, they're like, "Whoa, are you still alive?" Like, yes,
Mm.
you're very strong. So I was first diagnosed with TB. I remember the day I was diagnosed with TB, I was with my uncle and auntie. Yeah.
Mm.
We went there to one of the Zambian hospitals. I'm sure you know it, Shingwele Level 1.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that is where I started my TB treatment. So for me, I was so broken because I was young. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was still a virgin by by then. I always happen to put this, I the first thing that clocked into my mind, I started asking myself questions to say, what's TB? Because it was the first time of me hearing that word. I couldn't ask the person who was counseling me because I didn't have energy and strength to ask. I started asking myself questions to say, what's TB? How am I going to survive? Will I pull through this? Am I
Mm.
going to win? And am I going to stand strong and come out firm? You know, Even at the moment I was asked, on the very same day I was diagnosed with TB, I was asked to start the treatment because I was so very down.
Yeah.
You know how TB is. TB is something, once it gets in your body, it will finish you completely. Just a
Yeah.
month, you are
Yeah.
done. That's how it is. So for me, the moment I started my TB treatment drugs, I was with my uncle. I remember my uncle calling my mom to say, no, she has been found with TB, just like that. So, like, after I started the TB treatment, for me, it was hard taking those drugs because they are so big,
Yeah.
you know.
Big. Yeah.
Yeah, they are so very big. And I remember the time I was taking them, those days, for nowadays, it's easier. For those days, it was something else. So
Mm.
the time I started taking the TB drugs, some changes appeared on my body, skin complexion. I had more appetite, whereby I just every minute I want to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember that time, life was hard. Yeah, life was totally hard. As a person being on TB treatment and there is no food, You have to eat whatever little is being provided. You have to eat, because if I haven't eaten that porridge with salt, or maybe shima with vegetables, which is, I won't be able to be strong, and I won't be
Right.
able to move, because the drug is very strong. So I remember that was in my second month of taking my TB drugs. I was asked to undergo HIV testing.
Mm-hmm.
I was with my auntie, the elder sister, mom, and mom was there. You know, she was like, no, she's very young, she can't go HIV testing. I was like, whatever the result, it's better we do it in advance, so that I should know in advance and know what will come afterwards.
Mm.
Then that was my first and last time I went into that counseling room. From the time I tested HIV positive, I've never gone back there to say this is my second time. For me, that was my first and last. So
So
after,
so pause for a second. Okay, never mind. Finish, and I'll follow
okay,
up with a
okay,
question. Yeah.
okay. So in my second month of taking my TB drugs, I was asked to undergo HIV testing. Yo, I cried. I cried, after talking to mom. Mom was like, no, she's very young. She can't go and test, this. But I was like, let me go. You know,
Mm.
the moment I went there, for me, I thought like maybe it's something that would be easy for me,
Mm-hmm.
but the moment the results came out HIV positive, I felt the emotionally damaged. I was
Mm.
out of strength. Tears were inside me. I even added up more questions to say, will I ever get married? How will I face my partner? Am I going to enjoy life? Because
Mm.
in that old days, we had less information about HIV. The
Right.
only information I had is when you're HIV positive, you are going to die. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, that's the only thing that came to my mind to say, I'm still going to die. Even if I start this medication, even if I should be taking every day, I'm still going to die.
Mm.
Because way back then there was less information. We never knew anything to say you take your medication every day, you become undetectable and transmittable virus, zero copies. We never had all this information. The
Yeah.
only thing we had is even if you take the ARVs, you'll
You're
still
going to
die.
die.
You're going to
Sure.
die. And for me, I moved with it. And that was one thing that kept me. Each time I think about the day I tested positive, I would break down into tears, break down into thoughts, mixed up of thoughts, just like that. So it wasn't an easy journey, because I remember I had lost so much weight. Then now people started asking me now, you know, you've lost so much weight. What happened? And I couldn't explain, because I was told by the counselor to say, you've been found HIV positive. This should be between you and me and your parents. So a person would come, no, you've lost so much weight. And I remember, I was still in school. You've lost so much weight. What happened? I was very confused. Me,
Mm.
I wouldn't even lie. I never used to pay attention, even in class. I never used to pay attention. All my attention was going into deep thinking. I used to spend much time into deep thinking. So, I remember that was in the early of 2015. The early of 2015, after I started my medication, it wasn't easy. Sometimes I would miss, sometimes I would just feel like I'm not myself. I just want to stop everything from there and end the life of me taking my ARVs every day. Me, the only picture that used to come in front of me is death. That was the only thing. So until to the time I struggled, I've faced stigmatization from the society, from family members, So, and one thing I loved about myself, even after the stigmatization I used to face. I never used to give up. I would feel the pain, I would feel the hate, but I never used to give up. you know, and especially most of the time when it comes to relationships. Oof,
But so hold on. We're gonna get to the relationships part and
yeah,
everything else. So
yeah.
now
So that was in
you
2015. I remember the time I we just ended 2015. That was the time now I accepted myself,
mhm,
endured my journey,
mhm,
and 2020, it is the time now I said, all the pain, the suffering, stigma, bad endurance, discrimination, it is time to let go and say goodbye and stand up and help a person out there who's still facing stigma, a
mhm,
person out there who's still facing bad endurance and challenges of them, after them testing HIV positive,
uh-huh,
and whether HIV negative or HIV positive, they need to be helped. A
absolutely,
person who's HIV negative needs to have much information. Yeah.
absolutely. So now there is one important element that you had said earlier on, right? Whenever you were tested for tuberculosis, for TB, you had mentioned that you were actually a virgin, correct? So
Yes.
yes. So now that in itself, right? Thinking about how you are a virgin, but then you're also found with HIV, which has mostly been related to, being transmitted sexually. Because in school, they used to teach us about being careful, the sharp objects that we're around and all these
Yeah.
things. And so, what is going on in your mind and also in the minds of your parents and your guardians? Like, how are they receiving this information as well?
When a child is growing up,
Hmm.
this is why I'm saying that those days, because there was less information about it, a person would start asking to say, how did it happen? You
Sure.
know, but with later on of years and growing, technology comes in, new ideas, working on it just like that. We understand to say a child can be infected, maybe between the mother or between that period of child, mother's pregnancy and
Hmm.
child. It would take time. Some they would even grow up like the way it was for me. You grow up. The time now, maybe you reach at a certain age, that's when it will start showing. You
Mm.
know, for some, it will just show the moment they're just born. When a baby is just born, they usually test them. You know, they go for test them, they test this, they do different kind of tests. From there,
Hmm.
it will show to say, oh, this child has been exposed to HIV from mother to baby during pregnancy. So we'll put
Hmm.
them maybe on a treatment for 9 months, breastfeeding. Those days there was no information. Even this
Yeah, sure.
thing of they know when a mother who is HIV positive has to breastfeed a baby for 6 months, just after 6 months they stop. Those days there was nothing like that. There was no
Hmm.
such kind of information. People used to do it just in their own way, and maybe if the nurses advise them to say no, we only have a little of information about this. So for you, we are going to give you this information. It's up to you if you are going to follow it or not. That's how it
You
is.
know, you know
So
what's crazy?
after,
You know what's crazy? With we're living in a time where we have too much information.
yeah,
So before we didn't have a lot of information, but now we have too much information, and with too much information comes misinformation. So, like right now, somebody can be sick, right? And the first thing that they're going to think about, Luyando, is to go on Google to go and start self-diagnosing, right?
and that, yes, and that's the first thing. Whenever someone happen to feel strange on their body, the first thing they do, they go on Google.
They go on
You know,
Google. And
yes.
now we have
In
AI,
those days,
which
there
will
was
start
nothing
telling
like
you, oh, well, maybe you're dying. Maybe, you know what I mean?
and
So,
you start, it's so frustrating again.
yeah.
It's so frustrating because you just go on Google. Google will just give you the main point of that thing. Then from you, you're going to pick it from there and say, okay, this is the way it will be.
Yeah, this
You
is the
know,
end of, oh my
it
gosh,
helps.
this is the end of the world. Or
Yeah.
maybe I need to treat, people with HIV in this way. And so that's why, that's why this is very important to actually figure out and well, not misinform, and inform people so we can remove, these narratives that people have. You know what I mean? So,
And there's still for me, not for me, there are still some people out there, who are still facing this thing. Like, they just can't let themselves out. They
mhm,
can't. They always say, when something happens to you, the health that we are living right now, it's not only about being HIV positive. We've got STIs, we've got cancer, we've got different kind of diseases. So for me, I always say, always be ready, for anything. You know, leave room for you to say, I'm ready for anything. If something like this happened, how am I going to face myself? Am I going to stand
mhm.
strong or what? you know
Yeah,
because if maybe something happens to you, the more you frustrate yourself, the more your healthy goes down. You're not going to see any good result with your healthy. Yeah.
yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? Like people die from literally anything and everything. You have,
Depression,
yeah, like you have
stress,
lived, yeah,
overthinking.
you have lived with this for 17 years, right? Think about how many people have died from accidents,
Yeah.
from, and
Yeah.
not to dumb it down, from suicide, like you said, from cancer, from
Yeah.
malaria, from, what I mean? Like people die from all these things. And like you said, you put it, we didn't have a lot of information and people didn't even think, well, we didn't think growing up that people with HIV can live for a long time just because of the way that the information was being presented. So those health experts did a great job. But
Yeah.
I would like to figure out, as you were going through this process, what support are you having from the family? Because at some point in 2020, you still had to accept, to come to terms with yourself, to say, I need to accept, my situation so I can start helping other people. But from then leading up to your time of acceptance, to say, this is a condition that I have and I need to just live with it. What's the support system that you're having around you?
The support system is 100% good.
Mm,
Yeah, I would say from my mother's side, 100% good.
hmm.
Because these people have stood by me, they've stood by my side.
Mm.
That when it comes to my father's side, I'll give it a 58%. Yeah. So you are laughing. Yeah,
No,
because I
so
still
I'm only
hear,
laughing because,
it's so interesting. I still hear one talking,
yeah.
especially, like, I'm an activist. I post something, maybe if I had a just like this, I'll post it.
Hmm.
I talk about it, radio programs that I attend to, podcast, I post it. There's always that one person who wants to bring you down. You know,
Mm,
there's just that person who wants to bring you down. Like, they just want you to feel low. The moment you go low, for them, they celebrate. So for me, I even know to say they just come here for fake love and care, you
yeah.
know. So I've also learned ways on how to avoid them. And I have people, I say, oh, these are okay. These understand me. These care. These
Mm,
don't care. These, they only want to see me suffer and they only want to bring me down. This is the reason why they say, if you've got nothing to ask over the very same situation, if you don't have good means of asking, just zip your mouth and keep quiet,
mm,
rather than going there and ask something that will hate one. It's not that you're not going to realize that that person is hate. You realize, but because it's a mission and that's what you want, you go ahead and you know make that person feel the pain. Yeah.
mm. Devil, we cast you, we bind you back to sender, like the Nigerians put it.
Fire.
No, no, for real. So, do you think, that also helped you, especially from your mom's side, with having that support system? Do you think that also helped you to still stay strong and then come to terms with,
Yeah, yeah,
acceptance? And because I'm asking this because, you know, someone who's going to be watching this, they're experiencing the same thing right now.
yeah.
And people need to understand why it means everything for, people who are living with this condition. Somebody might just have been diagnosed today. Why it's very important to be there for people. The same way that we're going to
You
accept
know,
somebody, facing cancer
um,
and supporting
for a
them.
person, for you to be healthy and for you to be strong, you need to face both bad side and good side, you know,
Ooh,
because
ooh,
if you only facing good side, you
yeah.
won't know the other side and the other part of, how what
Mm,
it means to be there. So for you to be strong, you know, you need make sure, but they always say things that people make us pass through, they make us
mhm,
stand strong and we come out very strong and very brave. Because the reason why I'm saying this today, this one says this about your HIV journey, today about this one says this about your maybe your cancer journey. You share it with your friend. Oh, my friend, I've got STIs. That friend, if they don't want to help you, they'll make you a topic of the day.
mm,
You after hearing it, I know you're going to feel the pain. You're going to feel you feel so betrayed, and you start asking yourself to say, I only wanted help, and this is what is happening. But with time, I know some people give up. You know,
mhm,
some people give up to say, no, I can't bear the pain. They end up committing suicide. For those who don't give up, trust me, they come out very brave and very strong, such that you even ask yourself to say, is it you who was going through all this? Or maybe it's not you. When somebody is explaining things to you, what they've gone through with their healthy, you might be thinking as if maybe it's only a story, but it's because after all that happened, they are firm, they are very strong. They are good to go, and they are okay no matter what might come on their way. For them,
mhm,
they are always strong and they are always fighting. So for me, I know in that journey of you fighting, we lose, we break down, we cry. Even up to now, if I just feel like crying, me, I cry, I get emotional, I cry. That's how it is. If I feel, oh, this thing, it has hit me bad, I cry, I get emotion. But after crying, I'll come out very strong because my heart is free and my heart is all okay. And you understand to say people today can be good, today they can be bad. Whether you do good, you do what, people will always have something to say about, every situation. Yeah.
mhm. I like that. You speak with so much conviction. You speak with so much clarity. With so much purpose, right? And I
Yeah.
like that. So that also helped you to start your counseling journey, trying to
Sure.
help other people. What was your end goal? Of course, it's helping other people, but what did you see about yourself that you thought, needed to be
Um,
extended
you
to
know,
other people?
what I had seen about myself was I can do something big and something bigger, you
Hmm.
know, through me. I always say whenever you want to work on something, you need to be focused and you need to put in your energy. Because the reason why I'm saying you need to put on energy, you are meeting different kind of people in a day, and different kind of situations, and different kind of explanations that one might come with. And you know what, it's not an easy thing, because a person would text you maybe around 22, they're very frustrated, they're very fed up. All they want is somebody to talk to, so that they can understand. And now it will be up to me to say, should I talk to this person or not? I have to give it much time and talk to that person until to the time they're going to say, Thank you so very much. I feel much better. And in that way, I'll say, okay, well done. This is a good job. In the next 1 week, they get back to me. Thank you so very much. This time around, I'm fine. And I'll be like, okay, this is good. We need to put in more effort. There is no going back. I remember there was the point that was in 2022. Like I wanted to stop all this work. I was like, no, I think I've marked an end of me being an HIV activist, counseling. Then I was like, no, 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 no. There's still more job that I have to do. I don't have to end it from here. There's still more job that I have to do, because looking at the number of people that would inbox me in a day, it's not only Zambians. Yeah, and I thank God, different kind of people from different kind of countries usually inbox me. We talk. If it's on a WhatsApp call, if it's in text messages, we communicate. And I do make sure that person is okay. Because the first time of one finding out that they are HIV positive, it's so frustrating. A person, he or she is not going to sleep. He or
Mhm.
she will have a lot to deal with in his or her mind. So if they find somebody to talk to, at least everything gets to be better. Yeah.
Where do you do your work at, your activist work on? Is it online? Are you doing it on TikTok? Are you doing it on Instagram, on Facebook? How can people find you?
So I do my activist work on Facebook, TikTok, then Instagram. I'm not that active. Yeah, I'm very much active on Facebook and
Okay.
TikTok. Yeah,
Yeah, we're
so on
definitely gonna
Facebook,
plug you here. Get your,
yeah. So
because
on
that's crazy.
Facebook,
Because no, sorry, I was just gonna say that's crazy because I was just shocked when I was talking to you. Like, I was very shocked that I've never came across your content. I was just like, what in the world? But that goes to show you also, even today, how much we as humans don't like to engage a lot with content that helps
yeah.
people, like widely and massively, the things that are
Yeah,
important.
because I've discovered something.
Mhm.
We don't get interested in things that matters more.
Yeah.
More like I'll just say people get interested. We've got different kind of blogs. They blog about their lifestyle, but when it comes to issues that involve the healthy of one, when it comes, if I say healthy, it involves different kind of diseases. It involves one's body. A person being raped. This,
Hmm.
for me, I've always feel we give less attention to these issues.
Oh, absolutely.
We give more attention to lifestyle. Yeah.
'Cause you know why? Because those are make happy type of content. It's, if it's feel good, right? We all about feeling good. We don't care about anything else that can even have an inch slight effect of sadness, well, my life is going to be this way. I mean, people are just talking about death. Somebody might just say,
Yeah.
hey, make sure that you prepare, you get yourself insurance so that whenever you die, you leave your loved ones, enough money to bury you. And people will be like, why are we talking about death? you know
Exactly.
like, well, I mean, we need to
Exactly.
prepare. So yeah, it's insane that, yeah, I was just in shock. I was like, wow, I don't know why I didn't know you before, but I'm glad, that you had reached out and we're able to have a conversation so that more people can find more, information about you. So I'll make sure that we put your information on here so that people can,
Thank you.
plug in and get all the info that they need. So now, you doing this work, right? By now, how many people can you say that you have spoken with and been able to help?
So many, because in a day I usually talk to people from a number of 30 to, let me just say, 25 to 30
Oh
in a
wow.
day. So most of the times what I do, if I'm busy, because I'm never offline, So I'm even used every second I have to be online. So
Wow.
what I do, if I'm that busy, I just pick a day. I'll say, okay, Friday, Saturday, I have to reply back every text message. If it's every call, I have to reply back. That's how I do it. Because sometimes I would receive a text whilst I'm working on something. So I avoid too much inconveniencing. I just look at the text messages and say, okay, I'll get back to the text messages. Yeah. So
Do
most of
you
the times I happen to receive a very huge number of text messages on TikTok. Yeah.
on
So you
TikTok and
find
all?
that maybe after posting something, I have a wage about HIV. All my messages now start coming
Hmm.
just like that.
You're doing God's
Um,
work. That's all I can say. Like you are doing God's work, helping people. You know, you are doing more for people than most influencers are. Just making people happy and laughing. It's great. I know.
yeah.
We need to get people through the day, but this is very
Yeah,
important.
you know,
What you're
because
doing
when when you're HIV positive, right? You've just tested positive, and you are alone. You're going to cry the whole night. Then the next morning you come up now, you find you've got a terrible headache. I had somebody who was asking me to say, the moment I just start taking the ARVs, I get so sick. I was like, those are side effects. It's just a month, even less than a month, you'll be okay. So, there's always that fear. She was like, no, I can't restart my ARVs because the time I had started, I used to get sick. I was like, no, this time around you won't.
mm,
And, she has just texted me to say, thank you very much. I thought like maybe it will happen again, but because of your words, because I used to remind her every time it's 21, I 9 p.m. I remind her to say it's time for medication, take your No, tomorrow I'll feel sick. I was like, there's nothing like that. If you get nausea, you feel like vomiting, just have some lemon juice or have some mint sweets, you'll be okay. And this time she's fine now.
wow. So we are approaching World AIDS Day. It's coming up, and
Yeah.
it's literally people around the world that are
Yeah.
still living with his condition right now. Are you working or have you been working with any organizations sponsoring what you are doing?
At the moment, no, I don't have any sponsors at the
Oh, so
moment.
this has just been you, one solo girl,
Alone. Yeah.
riding this journey by yourself and helping people, picking
Yes.
up calls, counseling, all by yourself.
People, I don't know. There's always that thing whereby people always say there are just some people whereby for them before they wake they're expecting more, you know. But I've always been saying to say, if you've chosen to do something and if
Hmm.
you've chosen to work for something, you know, you need to tell yourself to say, this is what I've chosen to do. I need to give much time and much attention. You don't have to focus on the income, you know. So for some people focus on the income, then some people think as if, being an HIV activist, sharing your HIV status on public, for some people think as if it's out of pity. Yeah, I saw there was a certain HIV activist who posted something. I think people thought as if maybe she did that out of pity, So, like, for me, I would always say it's not out of pity, it's how one has chosen to do. If you're a person who is not passionate for their work, if you've noticed, they always come out so rude. They don't have, time for what they've chosen to do. They are not polite in talking. There's we receive such comments,
Mm,
whereby somebody would even start charging people. A person is in a problem, he or she wants counseling, then you start charging them. And you don't even know the situation of that person, where they are coming from, but
Yeah.
just because they come to you to say they want to be cancelled, they want somebody to talk to, you even charge them, honestly speaking. That's not good. It's not too good, because it's a word from your mouth. It's your strength that made them. Maybe somebody told them to say, no, there's somebody I know, inbox them, talk to them, then you should even start charging them. For
Mm.
me, I feel it's not too good. It's not good. If you can do your work, be passionate with your work, be honesty, be good with your work, do your work, and thank God and say, we wait upon tomorrow what will bring. you know Expect good results, to say a good number of people endured, through my talking, through my counseling. A good number of people endured, they are fine. And in this journey of me counseling people, I haven't lost anybody. Everyone is all okay with their HIV journey. They are healthy, because HIV is just a simple word, but it easily multiplies into so many diseases. That's the
Right.
bad part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
S-
yeah.
So when it comes to relationships, I know you touched on that subject earlier on. So
Yeah.
how's then your love life been like?
My love life. To be honest, love life being, it's not easy. Yeah.
Sure.
I think, okay, I'll say it's not easy. My follower who is HIV positive, they would say it's easy. So it depends.
Mm.
Yeah. So, a person who is living HIV positive would say, okay, since I'm HIV positive, I want somebody who is HIV positive too. Then after the relationship starts, maybe it happens not to work,
Hmm.
they'll come up with an answer to say, no, this is what happened. So for me, I just say it depends with how lucky you are. These situations happen in different ways. you know Someone who is HIV negative, they find somebody who is HIV positive, it works out. Someone who is HIV positive, they go with they find someone who is HIV positive too. It won't work out. So it just depends. So I would say, when it comes to the part of disclosure, with a person who is HIV positive, it's
Mm.
very hard, because there's always that thing of one saying, I love this man. So if I disclose my HIV status, this person, maybe they will go, they'll
Mm.
run, they'll take advantage of me. Maybe, they'll love me out of pity, and, a person who is HIV positive and being loved out of pity, you are not in good or in safe hands,
No,
because
for
that
sure.
person will only take you and love you out of pity, because they only feel pity. And in that way, they only love you out of pity. They
Yeah.
won't
Like
even
they're
have that
doing you a
interest of maybe,
favor, pretty much.
yes, a favor,
Yeah.
and to be loved in that way, no, it's not good. So for
Yeah.
me, I would say a person who is HIV positive and disclosure to a partner who is HIV negative. It's fire, because 99% of people who are HIV positive, usually, and it's not that, maybe I'm talking from what I've got a WhatsApp group, and 99% in my WhatsApp group are ladies. Yeah. So I usually happen to bring up a chat with them to say, what should I talk about? And I've discovered 99% it's HIV and HIV relationship disclosure. So I've noticed something to say, a person who is HIV positive, especially a female, you know, it becomes so hard for them to say, babe, I'm HIV positive, or maybe if it's a male, babe, I'm HIV positive, because the first thing that appears to their mind is that if I tell this person will run away.
Mm.
This person will leave me, and you are scared to be left alone. So for me, I always say a matured relationship will always show you signs. You know,
Mm.
the matured relationships will give you signs to say this thing is going somewhere. You know, so the moment you notice to say this thing is going somewhere, disclose yourself. You know, if you don't want to disclose yourself, then you end up getting married to each other. You have a problem of you missing your medication, and that isn't good. You know, and I've
Mm.
also discovered something: people who miss their medications, they are a problem. People who miss ARVs in their lives, they are a problem, because the more you miss, the more you are risking your partner's life. If you take your medication every day, your partner won't be infected. So this is where it is coming from, to say you find maybe that relationship has just been there for 3 months, 6 months. The moment that person walks away of that relationship, they find themselves HIV positive. It's because the partner they were going out with wasn't honesty. So this is the reason why, you know, to this technology that we have, you know, they introduced PrEP.
Yeah.
PrEP is 99% okay, because you know, you meet a person today, you know how relationships are. You meet a person today, you won't have that open heart to tell them, to say, no, me, I've been living HIV positive, no, maybe I was a prostitute. You know, we avoid explaining too much,
Sure.
because somebody might use, you know, the same explanation to stand against you. You know,
Yeah,
some
for
people are not
sure.
matured enough. So with the introducing of PrEP injectable, before PrEP injectable, we had PrEP drugs. It's helping, though, you know, it's not easy for somebody who is HIV negative, who doesn't want to, who is not interested, who has never liked drugs, taking every day. You know, it gets so hard. But for people who know the good part of it and the importance of it, they are okay with it. So when it
Mm.
comes to relationship, to myself, it hasn't been easy. Yeah, it hasn't been easy. You know, you find a man, you tell them to say, oh, I'm like this, I'm like this. They'll pretend. They'll pretend to love you, you know, a wrap up of the year. You know, the moment they feel like they want to go, they'll just leave. You know, they'll just tell you something that will strike your mind. And you start the mix up of everything and start asking yourself to say, am I not good enough? Or maybe
Mm.
because of the medication that I'm taking, I'm not looking too good. You know, they just want to bring you, you know, into something that you won't even understand, that you won't even like. So
Mm.
it depends. It depends. Yeah, it
Mm.
depends with your situation. It depends. Yeah, with how it is. So for me, it hasn't been easy. Someone will say it has been easy. Yeah. Otherwise, everything is good and okay. We live to love and move on. Whenever you learn something to say, a person can reject me at any time. They can say whatever they want to say at any time. A person can accept me. You live with it, because it's also part of learning. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're correct. Once again, I think you are someone who has done a lot of work on themselves, right? And so somebody
Yeah.
might look at you and say, yeah, you were saying all these things, it's very easy. Of course, it wasn't like this in the beginning, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the fact that you can boldly be out here and just be able to share that experience, it speaks more about your character. And those people, it's sad that they just wouldn't understand, but also putting you in that position where people just pretty much, I don't know, just like you said, they just use you. I think I don't even know, what you
You
can
know,
say
they're
too
just
much
they're,
about that
they're
for
just
sure.
there are just some people who have the intentions of using one over their situation, you
Mm,
know, because every person, whenever there are some situations that can bring one to be so desperately, you know, a person who is HIV positive, They always, I think I can put it to be desperate in love. Yeah.
Or maybe
You know, because
vulnerable.
they lack, there's that point whereby a person who is HIV positive, you know, there's at a point where they reach, and every person has to be on this stage. Unless maybe if you are already married, but I know even those who are married, you know, because I would say, okay, me today and my partner, we are fine. After some days, they'll just start behaving the way they want to behave in their own world, and it becomes a torture to you, because you have to bear
Mm,
the pain of taking your medication every day. You have to endure, maybe your skin complexion has changed out of your ARVs. Then your partner is also adding up what's not okay to be added up. So this is why I always say you have to be ready for anything that will come. The moment you notice to say, okay, this partner, he's behaving in a way that he's not be he's supposed to be, to behave, just talk to them and free them. Because loving somebody out of favor, no, it's not okay, and it's not too good.
yeah.
Because that person is also a human. That person is also feeling the pain. But I just don't know how love is. I just don't know how love is. Some people want always to be damaged. I also had a chat with one of the females. Yeah, like I was telling her to say, if you can't find love now, focus on taking your medication and focus on your work. It will follow you, it will appear to you. Like she responded to me to say, the only thing I'm lacking is sex. So this is
Mm,
the reason why I'm saying, a person who is living HIV positive,
mm,
some of them, they just say, the only thing I'm lacking is this. you
mm,
know and as a result, when they find that partner, they
mm,
won't have those intention on focusing, or maybe say, hey, this person is doing something that is making, so for them, the only thing they want is to satisfy themselves.
mm,
And in that, it also becomes something that isn't good. Because even if you were to find a partner who's going to accept your HIV journey, to
mhm,
say, no, me, I've accepted your HIV journey, I'm willing to be with you, the only intentions you have in your mind is somebody to satisfy you.
mm,
Then at the end of the day, that person will look as if they are wrong, or maybe you are in bad hands.
mm,
So for me, I always say, know what you want. And if a relationship has failed to work out, give yourself some time,
mm,
relax. And as a person who is, it's not only a person who is HIV positive. No, we have people on TB, we have people on different kind of diseases. So
oh,
accept,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
yeah, you need to give yourself some time, understand you're healthy, and work on things that you have to work on. Love will follow you. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, two more questions that I have for you. Why do you
Yeah.
think that your group is mostly from filled up with women as opposed to men? Is it because men, just the nature of
Men,
men being
men are
not
carriers of
open?
HIV.
Hey, that will get you in
Me-
trouble to say men are carriers of HIV.
No, 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 no. It won't get me in trouble. There's a post that was posted in Zambia to say we are having the high HIV infection in women
Yeah,
between the
I
ages
saw
of
that.
18 and 35. Yeah, I was so very upset of that, because they didn't go into details to explain it, to say, why is it that the ages between of 18 and 35, it's the
Let's get
high
into it. This
HIV
is why
infection.
you are here.
You
Because
know,
yeah.
they were supposed to go into the details, because it looked as if females are the only ones who are ever moving up and down.
Because those females are
There is
getting it from somewhere.
yes. because females are getting it from somewhere. For it to be like that, which is females are getting it
Right.
from somebody somewhere. And I started seeing funny posts now, people from the copper belt and Zambia, and for me, I had to sit down myself and to say, no, this wasn't too good. They were
Sure.
supposed to go into details, So men, men, men,
Super
men are
spreaders.
carriers. Men are carriers of HIV,
Super
you know.
spreaders.
Yes, super
Yeah.
spreaders, super striker. A man a man is always a carrier of HIV. A man can be a carrier for 15 good years, lifetime. He's just a carrier, just spreading it to women. It takes years. Some they even end up dying, you know. They
Without
they, they
knowing that they
die
had.
without even knowing that they are living with it in their blood, you know. Men are carriers of HIV, and when it comes to females, it's always easy. Females, any disease, it's always easy to know that, no, I've got this disease, I have this. Now, for a man, it will take them several, tests. A man's immune system is something that we respect, because it take so many years. Some,
Mm,
just like I have said, some even die. It will be just on the window level. This is the reason why, if you've discovered a man is HIV positive, a wife, she's pregnant. Then the moment they go there at the hospital, let's go testing, a wife should be found HIV positive. Then when it comes to the husband's side, it will show HIV negative. And then is the husband will raise the voice to say, how come you've been found HIV positive? Maybe even this pregnancy is not mine. So this is where now we come in and explain it to them to say, she's HIV positive. Even you, it's there in your blood, but because it's still on the window level, it hasn't yet shown. It will be just flexing from there.
mm,
It will be flexing from there. So what they do, they will tell you to say, come back for testing after maybe 2 months, or maybe after 3 months. They'll be giving you appointments. So you'll find that for the good 5 years, they haven't yet found anything. It's just there on the window, it's flexing. So in that way, you happen to have sex with a female, you leave it for them. You know,
mm,
you have sex with somebody else again, you leave it for them. As a female, I'll start now experiencing different strains on my body. The moment I decide to visit the hospital, I'll be told you are HIV positive. Then I'll think, the only person I had unprotected sex with, it's that one. Let
mm-hmm,
me go back to that person and tell them. Then now, you know so it becomes, it's not an easy thing to explain it to one and make them understand, to say men are the carriers of HIV, and for men it to be on the window level, it's just flexing from there. It's just here. But when it comes to female, it will always show up. So they were supposed to expand that information and make people understand,
mm,
because gents started making funny of females to say, no, females, this is it, this is it. you know
yeah.
and for me, I always say, this generation, we've got less HIV infection from mother to from a pregnant mother to unborn child. We've got less infection, because the reason why I'm saying that, when you go there to the hospital as a pregnant woman, different kind of tests are done there and then.
Right.
Once they discover that you're HIV positive, they'll put you on treatment, and they are going to tell you everything, to say you have to take your medication every day. You don't have to miss. The moment you decide to miss, you're going to risk the baby's healthy. So
And
for your
women are
baby to
usually
be
good
born,
at that, making sure that
yeah,
they follow up. Yeah.
Yes, yes, they are always good. They
Sure.
care. They care from the what's this, from the maternity. There is nine. Let me just say 100%.
Yeah.
Because they'll tell you the truth. They usually say the truth to say for your baby to be born negative, you have to take your medication every day. Whatever
Yeah.
medication we give you here, you don't have to miss. Even you as a person, when you refer to it, you say, no, I can't put the life of an innocent child just because I'm HIV positive, they should also be HIV positive. No, they don't
Yeah.
have to live the life that I've been living. So that's how it is. So that there's always this thing men would say, no, you are HIV positive, me, I'm HIV negative. They don't realize it anything to say. It's on the window level. It's
Mm.
just flexing from there. It can even take you up to years. Some even die without
Mm.
them knowing anything. Yeah.
That's a very interesting take. Yeah. Once again, we're learning a lot of things. I didn't
Yeah.
know that
Yeah.
side of information. Now, there's gonna be some fact checkers,
Definitely.
verifying the
Because
information that
because
you're saying.
because we were supposed to ask ourselves to say a girl who is 18 years old, they are already grown. This generation, the moment they're just 16, they have boyfriends surrounding them. By the
Not
time they are
even
reaching
boyfriends. See, I'll give an example.
sugar
I was
daddy.
in, yeah, sugar daddies. No, for real. I was in Zambia in 2020, and what I had seen,
Yeah.
I'm just giving Zambia by itself. What I had seen from these girls, the amount of men, cars that were parked at these universities, colleges. I'm like, wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy. All these
it
odd
has
men. I'm like,
become, yeah, this is the reason why I even say when something, you discover something to say I'm positive, you begin to ask yourself to say, how many men have I been going out? Then you find that the men you've been going out, they are married people,
mhm.
and their wives usually know what's going on in their circle of their home. So once they discover to say, my husband, he's doing this, no, just let him be. Because they know that he's HIV positive. So let him go spread it where he goes. And for him, he's not going to tell you to say, no, me, I'm on medication. A person who is a culprit, they always miss their medication.
Mm.
A culprit will never be committed and consistent in taking their medication. They always miss, there are always problems. They are not going to come and tell you to say, no, me, this is what I'm facing, because they are spoiling you with different kind of gifts. Money has the results, you're going to pay it with your healthy.
It overshadows everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Now, let me ask you this last question. When America withdrew the funds of USAID, that was actually one of the areas that was highly affected. And
Yeah.
I have my brother and his wife, actually, they worked for USAID. They dealt with people who were dealing with HIV, and that program has been cut to this day, hasn't been
Yeah.
reinstated. It's not funded. What are some of the effects that you saw happening to people? Stories that you heard, how badly were people affected? Everything, from
Um,
medication to counseling.
yeah. It's not about stories that I've heard because I was also part of USA. Yeah.
Got you.
We would have, every year we would have HIV workshops. We gather in, adults, adolescents. We had workshops, we had programs, and everything was terminated. And
Mm,
USAID was carrying a very huge part, you know, to each and every African country.
yeah.
If it was Zambia, USA had so many programs, and all the everything, everything that USA carried, it was terminated. you
Sure.
know. And there are some of the foundations, NGOs that depended on USAID. They had hired young men and women, ladies, to work in the communities. There were programs that were being held up in the communities. You gather the adolescents, you gather the old age who are HIV positive. You talk to them, you offer some different kind of activities that were being done based with the circle of HIV. From the
Hmm.
time those were programs were terminated, I feel nothing has been done. Not I feel, I see, there were different kind of projects that were being done
Yeah.
under HIV in rural areas. Those people used to go in rural areas. We come up with workshops just like that. The gathering, you know how the gathering of rural areas is, and
Sure.
where. So for me, I feel I haven't seen any activity. Not I feel, I see. I haven't seen any activities to say maybe from this village young girls gathered, maybe adults gathered for this project and this project. The only thing I've seen is prep. That's the only thing I've seen. And this is the reason why even at the day they said they had to the Minister of Health posted something to say we have introduced prep injectable for 6 months. The first
Hmm.
thing that came to people's mind, they thought like it's ARVs in injectable ARV. So now, even up
Um.
to now, they still don't understand to say that's a injectable prep. For one, it's thinking
Mm,
as if it's ARV injectable, because there's less spread information to say, let's talk about it so that we make sure people understand.
yeah.
And people should start visiting the health facilities. December is always busy. So people need to start visiting health facilities. 6 months, you get PrEP injectable. You know how careless people get to be in Zambia
Around
whenever
the
it's
holiday season. Yeah.
yeah, on the holidays. So, you know, so much work need to be done. This is the reason why we've we've even recorded a high increase of HIV infection in Zambia. It's so embarrassing. It's not even, you know, a good thing to talk about it because it's so embarrassing. That shows nothing has been done, and that shows so much work need to be done. And I
Absolutely.
don't know. I
You
don't
know,
know what's the
absolutely.
reason. Yeah,
You're absolutely right. A lot of work needs to be done, and
yeah,
you always gonna be a guest on Z Now, this perspective, just because there is so much that we need to learn, and we can't compress
surely.
everything in just 1 hour. These are ongoing conversations that we need to be having to bring them to the forefront, and for all of us to be more educated and figure out how we can position ourselves in helping to combat everything that is HIV related. So, with that being said, I truly appreciate you for reaching out and making yourself available as well to have this conversation. It was,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. The pleasure is mine. And let people know where they can find you on social media if they choosing to follow and also help.
So we have a page. Uh you can find me on Facebook, Lulu HIV Foundation. That's my page. Then you can also inbox me on my main profile, Lulu Tassi. I'm always active. TikTok, Lulu Tassi. X, Luyando Scanwe. Yeah. So most of the times Facebook and TikTok is the easiest. So on Facebook, you can search for my page, Lulu HIV Foundation, or my main profile, Lulu Tasi. Whichever you choose, I'm always available. Yeah.
Lulu, thank you so much. We'll plug in that
Thank you.
information as well. And I hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. I'm humbled.